Hello everyone, thank you for joining us in this edition of The Insight. I am Babla Jonathan. Today we are zooming in on the Bakassi Peninsula in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, where a government official, the divisional officer of Idabato, and a staff of the locality's council were abducted, and they have been in captivity. And today we are looking at the security situation of that part of Cameroon, and also the socio-economic situation of the area. We're looking at what can be done to improve on both the socio-economic situation of the area, the living conditions of the people, and their security. Stay with us and meet our guest in some few seconds. Our guest today is a member of Cameroon's lower house of parliament, Honorable Daniel Ngale ETONGO, from the Jan division in the southwest region of the country. Honorable, you're welcome to the program.
The pleasure is mine, Babila.
Right. We are speaking at a time when the divisional officer of Idabato and a council staff were abducted, taken away by armed men, and taken towards Nigeria, according to the information from the senior division officer of the Indian division, on board flying boats. What is your take on this situation? What do you have to say? What more do we know about this situation as far as the abduction of the division officer of Idabato and the council staff is concerned?
Thank you, first of all, Mr. Babila, for giving me this opportunity to express myself about what happened on the 1st of October in Idabato. I would first of all like to debunk the pronouncements made by some of your colleagues concerning the kidnapping of the SDO of Idabato, and appreciate you for doing what we call investigative journalism, because you have left your comfort zone to come to Southwest to seek for information, which I think we actually appreciate. When I say to debunk the pronouncements of your colleague and to put the record straight, it is simply because I followed the news after the incident that took place in Idabato, and I heard your colleague saying that activists took the DO of Idabato and relating it to the date of 1st October, wanting to give the impression that, you know, it's quite symbolic that the activists are acting, you know, on the 1st of October, a date which is symbolic to Southwesterners and Cameroon as a whole. Insofar as the maritime areas are concerned, when I talk of maritime areas, I talk of Bamuso, I talk of Idabato, I talk of Kumbo Itindi, talk of Kumbo Abedimo and Isangele. Activist activities are not found in these areas, especially in the subdivisional headquarters. I am more precise in subdivisional headquarters because in Bamuso, you have the activities of activists on the mainland, which is, you know, cut off from the subdivisional headquarters, which is found on the maritime. So to say that activists abducted or kidnapped the DO of Idabatu is very much unfounded. And it is good that you have come here to hear, to get from the source. The deal of Idabatu in what happened on that day by 2 o'clock in the morning is what is rampant in our area. Kidnapping is rampant in our area, the maritime area of the Bakassi. This is not the first, nor the second, or the third, or the 100th time that a person is kidnapped in one of those areas. It is now very much pronounced because the DO, the personality of the DO is concerned. Let me let you know that about 2 days ago, the boat that was leaving Nigeria to Bamuso subdivision and precisely to Njangasa was taken by pirates and all its contents emptied. Only the occupants of the boat were set free. You have not heard about this. And such things have been happening.
The senior division officer of the Njan division said it very clearly in his statement that the division officer of Idabatu and the council staff were taken away by armed men who took the direction of Nigeria on both flying boats, and there was nothing there about activists or secessionists or whatever. And so today we are putting the record straight. It has nothing to do with secessionists.
Good. It has absolutely nothing to do with secessionists. Secessionists have had no impact in the subdivisions which are found in the maritime of Bakassi, specifically the subdivisional headquarters. They have had no impact there because they can't freely access those areas. The people who have an access to those areas are pirates. And these pirates are from our neighboring countries. This is not the first time.
The fact that the incident happened on October 1, if I get you well, you're saying that it was just a coincidence.
It was just a coincidence. It was just a coincidence. And I want to assure you, without any iota of doubt, that the people came from Nigeria.
Pirates, we know that they normally operate on the sea. So in these areas that you cited earlier, Idabatu and the others,
so Kombo Itindi, Kombo Abedimo Isangele.
They come on land and do kidnapping, and then
Bamuso faces the sea, just like Idabatu. It faces the sea. So you leave Nigeria, you leave Calabar, you come directly, you land on the shores of Idabatu or Bamuso, Bekumu, and you do what you want to do and you leave. That's exactly what happened. The people left wherever they left from Nigeria and came to Idabatu and did what they did and left. So as I was saying, it is actually kidnapping by terrorists, and this is not the first time. For the past 2 months, we have had such kidnapping in Bamuso about 4 times. 4 times. You know, the business people who go to Nigeria, on coming back, you know, they are kidnapped by pirates. You know, about 4 times. And as I said, this is more pronounced because of the personality who is involved. They have kidnapped the DO of Idabatu. And you know what it means. So that said, insofar as the phenomenon of kidnapping is concerned, we are not strange to it. We of the maritime are not strange to it. You know, I think it's 2010, they came to Bamuso. When you go to the gendarmerie head office, you will see relics of bullets, you know. They shot and took the engine of the DO and things like that and went away with. So we are not strangers to such happenings.
Now, the senior division officer of the Indian division wrote to the Consul General of Nigeria saying that some action needs to be taken within the context of cross-border security actions to find the divisional officer of Idabato and the council staff. But till now, we don't yet have any information about whether they have been found or not. They are still in captivity, probably.
Yeah, just like you, I don't have any information yet insofar as their release is concerned. You know, I told you that some people from Bamuso were kidnapped some time ago. It's not up to 3 months. And they took them to the creeks in Nigeria. And before we had information of their whereabouts, you know, it was more than a week. And they were asking for ransom of 5 million francs, you know. But that money was not available, and the family discussed with the pirates until they arrived at a sum that the family could provide, and the money was given, and the victim was released. So insofar as the SDO, the DO of Idabaso is concerned, we don't have any information yet concerning his whereabouts. But I think the pirates know that they have touched the wrong person, because touching the DO makes the situation a diplomatic situation.
The situation, from information gathered on the ground and from what you're saying now, has been there for as long as we can imagine. But soldiers are there. The military is there, fighting those pirates. But people are still being kidnapped in the midst of all that. How are the people managing to survive with this situation?
Good. You just as you said, this phenomenon has been existing time immemorial. Before I was even born, we came as children and learned of, you know, such phenomenon. And in those days, even to live from Bamuso to Ekondotiti was a problem when I was a child. Because you had those people even around the creeks going to Ekondotiti. But you can see that you and I can leave Bamuso, Idi now, go to Ekondotiti without any problem, get to Bulu Beach in Mondemba without any problem, go to Isangele without any problem, go to Idabato without any problem. This is because the government has made a lot of efforts in combating those people. And now, when you examine the subdivisions at the maritime area, you'll realize that the stranger population, especially those from Nigeria, outnumber the indigenous population. It is only in Bamuso and to an extent Isangele where the indigenous population outnumbers the stranger population. Because in Bamuso, all of mainland is made up of indigenous population and Cameroonians. It is not the case with our villages, at the maritime. Since the mainstay of those areas is fishing, and fishing now in those areas is done by Nigerians in the majority. That's why you had at one time the government had to bring people from the north, far north, to come and do fishing in the area. That's the Muslim population that came from Maga to come and do fishing. They started in Bamuso, and they are spreading out. They are now in Idabatu and so on and so forth. And so what is the difficulty? These, our brothers from Nigeria, the pirates from Nigeria, have their brothers settled in these fishing settlements. They have their brothers there. And these, their brothers, serve as informants. They give them information. And that makes it quite complicated. The bee is doing a tremendous work. The pirates are so scared of the bees. But now, the bees cannot be everywhere all the time. Come to think of it, the incident in Idabatu happened at 2 o'clock in the night. And so, maybe even the bees that used to stroll the waters had left that area to somewhere else. And so the informant, had to give them information that, come at this particular period because it will be safe for you. And that's what exactly happened. The government is making tremendous efforts because you have bees stationed here and there in the maritime area. But then, how do we handle this situation when a majority of the inhabitants in the area are our brothers from the other our neighboring country? It makes it very, very difficult. The DO, the SDO, they came with strategies that, in your various quarters, the quarter head, please, you should make a record, try to know everybody who comes here so that you know the purpose for which he's coming and when he's going and so on and so forth. But these places are business places. People come and go at will, and sometimes it is difficult, to pinpoint those who are strangers.
When we look at the fact that the pirates came on land and took away the divisional officer, there is a question that immediately pops up. If the DO is not as secured as he ought to be, to the point that he is taken away, the divisional officer who is the head of the subdivision, the representative of the government of Cameroon, then the security situation looks like a porous one.
It is not because the security situation is porous. True, he is a divisional officer who is supposed to have, adequate security. Let me just give you an example in Bamuso, where I come from. This is the Gendarmerie Brigade. Behind the brigade is the commandant's office. Then you go about 10 meters is the DO's residence. Now, there is no personal security for the DO. The DO has no personal security when he is sleeping. He has security when he's leaving his office to go out for work. Now there is a creek behind the DO's office. Somebody might pass through the creek and take the DO away. Is it because there is no security? No. I think this also brings into mind the fact that the divisional officers should have people guarding them even in their homes.
I was going to ask about that. Should the division officer not have personal security at all times, considering the security situation?
Well, I don't know the government policy insofar as personal security of the DO is concerned. But you should know that I, who is a member of parliament, I equally don't have a personal security. And so if I go to my subdivision, you know, I sleep in my house and get up in the morning, and anything can happen to me. So this is the situation. What we are saying is that we need to be a little more vigilant. We need to be a little more vigilant. The security that is available in our area is not sufficient enough, you know, to guard each person, just like elsewhere.
You cannot have an element of the rapid intervention battalion behind every citizen.
Of course, you can't.
But shouldn't there be some other measures that should be taken, not only for the administrative authorities who are there, the DO and others, but for the population in general, to ensure that they are secured?
The rapid intervention unit is in Idi now. There is one in Idi now that covers Bamuso, for example. There are in Jabane. Okay? And if an incident were to happen in Bamuso, 10 minutes, the rapid intervention will be there. And I think it is thanks to the fact that the rapid intervention is in Idi now, that the subdivisional headquarters of Bamuso is safe from activities of activists or secessionists, or call them what. So I think that something more robust has to be done to see that some security, some degree of security is given to the subdivisional officers in those areas. I know that such things may not happen only to the divisional officers of those areas. You know that we lost one of us in the Northwest. Huh? The divisional officer, detengo, yeah. So I think we need to put some mechanism in place to see that our divisional officers are not so much exposed to such dangers.
About the population, because the problem, as you explain, is a little more complex because of the fact that there are more foreign nationals, Nigerians, in most of the localities around the maritime area than the local population, I mean Cameroonians. And persons, you said, were brought from the far north, Cameroonians from the far north, to come do fishing there. Why did the government have to go to the far north to get people to come down to southwest to do fishing?
The truth is that our indigenous people are no longer interested in fishing for reasons that I myself cannot explain. They envy white-collar job. Maybe it is also because the type of fishing that is done in the area is not so enticing as to have somebody who can be a model that the younger ones can look up to, that this man has succeeded as a result of fishing. So let me follow suit. But they would see other civil servants, maybe teachers, customs officers, the mayor, the member of parliament. Those are the people that, catch their attention. And so they get into this domain of activities and neglect fishing, which is our mainstay. And so the government, and an interesting thing is that when these Nigerians had their catch, they took it to Nigeria. And our markets were without fish. And so government brought the people from the north, as I told you, particularly from Maga, who are interested in fishing, who also were interested or are interested to come and live in the area. Because you may have fishermen elsewhere, like in our brothers in Douala, but will not be interested to come and stay in the area. So the people from the north were interested to come and stay in the area to do fishing and to sell their catch in the Cameroon markets. That's why the government had to bring them there.
Now, if government had to bring up a policy of encouraging fishing by the local population of the Bakassi Peninsula, of the Indian Division, maybe providing some means for them to be able to carry on the fishing activity in a way that it will become lucrative, wouldn't it be another solution to the problem?
The government has done that. From time to time, they do what they call fish festivals, where the government comes with fish accessories to motivate the fishermen in the area with a particular eye on the indigenous people. Now, the government wanted to train some children to do fishing. In Bamuso, for example, let me tell you, when this program was brought, we had only one child who left Bamuso to go to the fishing school in Idina. Can you imagine that? So the government is actually making the effort, but the children don't seem to be interested in fishing.
About the issue of the Nigerian nationals being informants to the pirates, what do you think can be done to handle that situation, definitely in collaboration with Nigerian authorities?
I think the policy that was put in place by the administrators and political leaders of the area in making sure that anybody who comes to the place should be identified. That policy should be reinforced. Apart from that, I think the vigilante groups should be installed in all those areas and given the means to be able to do the work. And these vigilante groups should work such that the beaches should be their stations. Because if they were to stay in town without monitoring, without an effective monitoring of the beaches, they will be wasting their time. Because these pirates, they are very, very rapid. It's just like hit and run. They come to the place immediately, they drop, the engine is steaming. Those who are to operate, they just get down, do their operation, get to the boat, off they are gone. Those are some of the measures that I think can be done, I think the administration and other stakeholders can think of other measures that can be put in place to see that this phenomenon of piracy and kidnapping in the area is reduced to the barest minimum.
Apart from giving the members of the vigilante committees some tools that they can be using in their work, what about giving them some minimum training in intelligence gathering?
Of course. When I say giving them tools, you know, there are tools that they may use that may even be more complicated than what you may think about torch and machetes and, you know, knives and things like that. The intelligence training that you are talking about is very, very crucial. And I think that can also help to beef up their morals insofar as that aspect of the job is concerned.
And maybe some financial motivation also.
Of course. It is true that there is volunteering. But when you have to risk yourself to that extent without any financial motivation, without seeing what you can fall back on, I tell you that exercise might be one in futility.
We're going to take a look at what the newspapers reported this week. And when we come back, we'll talk about the socio-economic situation of the Bakassi Peninsula as a whole and what should be done or can be done to improve on the living conditions of the people, the provision of social amenities and the rest. Stay with us. The Guardian Post and the Horizon highlight the successes or gains and challenges of the major national dialogue 5 years after it held in Yaoundé. Regional assemblies addressing unique local development needs in the Northwest and Southwest regions, public independent conciliators ensuring transparency in local governance, use of English and French in public and private administrations strengthened, presidential reconstruction plan reviving communities in the Northwest and Southwest regions, over 4,000 fighters who have dropped their arms, 7,000 released from detention facilities, notwithstanding Monday ghost towns, lockdowns, school boycott campaigns persisting. Municipal updates pays tribute to major national dialogue actors gone forever. Von V.E. Mukete, the late Christian Cardinal Tumi, the Social Democratic Front's national chairman John Frundi, the late Professor Abua Daniel, the late Honorable Joseph Mbandam, late Honorable Emilia Lifaka, late Limbe City Mayor Andrew Mutanga, the late Jean-Claude Silla, former Senior Division Officer of the Mfundi Division, late Mayor Ekema Patrick Esonga of Boya, late Senator Henry Kemende, and late Honorable Audumbaya. About the arrest of separatist leader Ayaba Cho, the Herald Tribune says, payback time, how Fonju Wilson rallied funds to curse Ayaba Cho for atrocities in the Northwest and Southwest regions. And this is why his arrest was linked to a collective curse from Northwest funds, as reported by the Horizon. On the other hand, The Voice Weekender reports that prisoners of conscience detained in the Kondenge prison in Yaoundé have condemned the arrest of Ayaba Cho, demanding for a peaceful resolution of the Anglophone crisis. Still in The Voice Weekender, International Peace Crusader and Tomfo barrister Nico Hale calls for greater implication of natural rulers in the resolution of inter-community conflicts. The Guardian Post 2025 presidentials, Alkere Muna's endorsement rattles Biya regime. Another issue of the Guardian Post exclaims, winners and losers should Biya quit power. In the same vein, another issue of the paper tells its readers that the Union des Populations du Cameroun UPC party is divided over Biya and Alkere Muna candidatures. Cameroon Tribune reports the resumption of work on the Douala-Yaoundé dual carriage highway. In another issue of Cameroon Tribune, President Paul Biya, through the Minister of External Relations, advocated for restructuring of the United Nations Security Council during the General Assembly in New York. Cameroon insider Colombe carries the day, emerging winner of the 2024 Cameroon Cup. Welcome back. We are still with our guest, Honorable Daniel NGALLE ETONGO, Member of Parliament from the Ndian Division. Honorable, what is the socio-economic situation of the people of the Ndian Division?
The socio-economic situation of the people of Ndian Division, and Bakassi in particular, leaves much to be desired, to say the truth. But a lot has also been done. So much so that we can't say that the people of Ndian and Bakassi in particular are worse off than the rest of the people in the Republic. True, as I said, leaves much to be desired. Because in Bakassi Peninsula, for example, when the Green Treaty was signed for the withdrawal of troops and transfer of authority in some of the areas, you could see social infrastructure, okay? Hospitals, and so on and so forth, put in by the Nigerian government. And the people thought that with this transfer of authority, it will follow suit and even more rapid. But that is not the case. The government is making great efforts to see that the people in the area live in conditions suitable for human beings. But again, some of us make things worse. I mean, some of us make things worse. What do I mean by this?
Some of us, you're referring to the population, you're referring to...
Of course, I mean Cameroonians. We make things worse. Imagine that a contract is advertised and a Cameroonian goes in for the contract, that he can execute the project, takes money and abandons the project, and nothing is done. The plight of the people remains the same and even worse. Those areas are quite difficult for project execution. And so people who are going to carry out projects there should be people with a track record, who have done something, who master the terrain. And when projects were centralized, we had one contractor who did marvelously in Bamuso, one Mr. Etienne, without any advertisement. And so those are the type of people I thought would be given contracts in those areas. But unfortunately, the contract award system is such that even somebody who might not have the means can take a contract. Because somewhere, I learned somewhere there is whether what is called découvert, you have to be given money to start your contract. I don't think that contract should be meant for any Tom, Dick, and Harry. So those are some of the situations that we face in the area. And that makes the plight of the people quite disturbing.
So developmental projects are abandoned and nothing is done. Who then is to be blamed here? The contractor, the person who awarded the contract, the ministry, the government as a whole?
You said developmental projects are abandoned, nothing is done. No. Developmental projects are not abandoned. I am saying that some of us who are supposed to carry out projects in the area don't do our work. And so the social amenities that were supposed, the level of social amenity is reduced. Whereas it wouldn't have been the case, taking into consideration the effort that government is doing in the area. That's exactly what I mean. So, as a Cameroonian, as a patriotic Cameroonian, should you go for a contract when you know that you don't have the means? Should you go for a contract when you know that you can't have access to the terrain? It's a matter of conscience. A majority of us don't have a conscience. And I used to say in Parliament that some of us function as if we have another country somewhere. That if something were to happen here, we will leave and go to that country. And we would be envying other countries as a result of what the people are doing. It is not God who is going to those countries to do those things. It is because the individuals are bent. They have a conscience and are committed to see that things change in their society. And I think if this aspect of our conscience were to be given a second thought, in fact, Cameroon will be an El Dorado. Nobody will envy any country in the world. Cameroonians would prefer to stay in Cameroon.
Away from this problem of contracts that are not executed or not well executed or are taken by incompetent entrepreneurs or companies or construction companies and so on, is government really investing enough in that Bakassi Peninsula in particular, an area that Cameroon actually fought a very huge diplomatic fight to obtain that area? Is government doing enough in investing in that area?
I don't know what you quantify as enough, because enough should be as a result of the means of the government. Come to think of it, I used to tell people, Cameroonians, that we are fortunate. We are fortunate in that despite the crisis in this country, take in our area, I don't want to go elsewhere, Indian, Pamol is a shadow of itself. CDC is a shadow of itself. A majority of the infrastructures put in place have been destroyed by the so-called activists or terrorists. Despite the fact that all these giant corporations have been grounded, government is still able to make things move. Even if we expected things to be in a particular way, with the crisis that we are facing now, if not of the extra effort of the government, I think the situation would have been worse. I think the government is making tremendous effort, but a lot more still has to be done.
If you were to advise government today on some key actions that should be taken on the ground to improve on the living conditions of the people of the Indian Division and the Bakassi Peninsula in particular, in order to, because recently I had a program with the moderator of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon, Right Reverend Funky Samuel Foba, who talked about a situation where in Akwaya, there was a time some years back that people came from Nigeria, crossed into Akwaya, and were proposing the Nigerian identity card to Cameroonians. In other words, suggesting that they should take up the Nigerian nationality. And they refused. But the prevailing difficult socio-economic situation can favor that kind of thing, can create an enabling environment for some people, some Cameroonians, to start thinking otherwise, that we should belong to the other side.
Despite the difficulties, despite the low turn of socioeconomic activities, which are not only found in Bakassi Peninsula in particular, but in majority of the other areas in Cameroon, I want to tell you that Cameroonians love their country. As I told you, after the Green Tree Agreement, it stated that those who are in these areas, who are Nigerians, who want to leave and go back to their country, are free to leave. But those who want to stay and gain Cameroonian nationality are free to stay. Do you know that not one Nigerian has left that area to go to Nigeria? It tells you that we don't even know what we have. Our country is a blessed country. Instead, the Nigerians who are in the area want to gain Cameroonian nationality. And that's why, you know, I got so interested when the government tabled a bill on stateless persons. And I had to ask the minister that after the Green Tree Agreement, we have been finding it difficult, you know, to see that these our Nigerian brothers who are in our area and want to gain Cameroonian nationality should be given the nationality. And the minister said, no, there is no difficulty in it. All they have to do is to declare their intention in a circuit court. And once that declaration is made, the notes, the minutes will be sent to him by his collaborators on the field, and he will appreciate the situation and give the nationality to whoever is asking for it. So, there is nothing in our neighboring country that can entice Cameroonians who are found in that area to go to Nigeria. Instead, the reverse is the case, because you have thousands and thousands of them coming into the area almost on a daily basis.
Now, how to give more value to what we have so that we can actually take out of what we have as resources, what we have as potentials, practical, real benefits that can improve on the living conditions of the people. That's where there's a question. We'll take some interviews right now, and when we come back, you tell us what you think should be done to help us benefit more from what we have.
Good evening, Babila, and good evening to our dear listeners. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to discuss about the 1st of October, 1961. On this day in 1961, the people of former Southern Cameroon actualized the plebiscite that happened on 11th of February the same year. They ended the British-administered UN Trust territory of former Southern Cameroons, and with the former French Cameroon, they jointly created a new nation, the Cameroon Federation. This historic day, since then, have been completely distorted by various governments, namely the government of late President Ahijo, and still today, the government of President Paul Biya. And as you know, history never hides. It would keep happening and happening and happening until it is corrected. The Coalition of Cameroon Federalist Groups and Activists, CCFGA, therefore wishes every Cameroonian a happy Federation Day. Two significant errors have led to the negligence of the 1st of October as our true national day. The first error was the unconstitutional suppression of the federal system of government in favor of a centralized unitary state. This shouldn't have happened, and it perpetuates the 20th of May 1972 as our national day. This process is unconstitutional, and there are many reasons, amongst which are obvious facts of the results of the referendum, which were heavily corrupted, too much fraud, and the referendum was rigged, and today we have the evidence everywhere that the referendum was full of fraud. And to hide this sin, the architects, namely the various governments and regimes, have subtly elevated this day, that's the 20th of May 1972, as our national day. If you love Cameroon, then our true history compels you not to celebrate the 20th of May. It ought to be a day of mourning. We should be mourning and protesting. Cameroonians have every right to use political means to correct the errors of the past. All these injustices that happened on the 20th of May can be corrected. The advent of multi-party politics, for example, offers a lot of hopes for peaceful resolution. But this hope has always been dashed by electoral fraud, the political repression. Citizens from former Southern Cameroon peacefully advocated for the return to federalism. They were met with mockery, repression, and bullying. It happens in various forms all the time. The arrogance of a centralized unity state has led to many grievances in the former Southern Cameroons, because we know the truth. For example, in 2016, these grievances led to the transition of political protests, which were called upon by the teachers and lawyers. Their legitimate demands ought to remain the return to the contract of reunification. Unfortunately, this led to the second error. Some Cameroonians from the former Southern Cameroons chose to take the path of separation. They call for separation, and this has all been the culmination of their grievances that have been piled up as a result of bad governance being perpetuated by the present regime and the regime before. As we reflect on our history and the future of our country, on this Federation Day, let us resolve to fight for federalism by all possible means, especially the transparency of elections, and calling for the freedom of political expression and political parties to compete freely and fairly. To those of us, or those of you who are too discouraged and have embraced the far-fetched dream of separation, we invite you to embrace Cameroon as your country. Please remember, Cameroon is your country. Your country needs you. Together, let us celebrate our history and fight to realize the true federalist vision to which our fathers and mothers committed themselves.
It is hell entering here, especially when it rains. Before we reach here, we will struggle in so many ways. Women who are pregnant, before they enter here, we are afraid that even their children can come out. When it rains, we are suffering. Even our dressing change. Before we leave the house, we think that we'll dress well as vice principals, and as teachers. But when early in the morning rain starts, you see us just dressing haphazardly. We enter here at times with slippers.
Seriously, as it's raining, people came here, there are children who could not go to school, children fall inside stagnant water here. Everywhere, water is stagnant here. There's no way that water can circulate. You cannot enter the water. It's not possible. It's not possible. So I don't know what I can even say again, because we have been saying it, we have been writing even to the DO, writing even to the mayor, but nothing has been done.
When we are treating some sensitive information, we need to have the right information. We don't just have to go to internet and take any information with all the fake news that we have in internet.
I need to check the facts. I need to be very careful while navigating online, knowing full well that I may have some fake news, I may have some misinformation, I may have some disinformation online, and I really have to make sure I verify. I go online, verify all my facts, and check everything and make sure everything is correct before disseminating.
Those were interviews of the week. Honorable, how can we benefit more from what we have? We are benefiting, of course, from what we have as resources, potentials, and whatever in the Indian division, in the Bakassi Peninsula. But how can we benefit more? How can the people who are living there live better in terms of social amenities, in terms of being able to put food on their table every day, and so on and so forth?
The first thing is that government should pay more interest in that area. Because if it were not worth the salt, the President of the Republic wouldn't have taken so much pain to go to Hague to fight to see that an inch of our territory is not given to somebody else. If he did that, it is because he has an interest in the area and because the area is important to this country. The oil wells found in that area have developed Cameroon greatly.
But not the area. That's the paradox.
The oil wells in that area has developed Cameroon greatly. The Bakole oil wells, that's how they are called. Bakole is where I come from, you know. Bamuso Bakole has developed the area greatly. And I think it is time the government revisits its policy of infrastructure in the area. How can this be done? We are in the maritime area. And you know, we are challenged by floods. This climatic change is having a toll on us. I think on the 10th of March, if I'm not mistaken, or the 10th of March or 10th of April, flood swept Bekumu. Flood swept Bekumu. Your television channel covered that. And if care is not taken, Bekumu might be wiped out of the map of Cameroon. What can be done? The land can be reclaimed. The land can be reclaimed. Once the political will is there, that can be done. An embankment can be constructed, like what has been done in ETONGO. It is true that the shores of Bekumu are so long that it might cost more than what was given in ETONGO. But I think it is worth the trouble. It is worth the trouble to do that. Once that is done in areas like Bamuso, Idabatu, Ngoso, Kombo Etindi, and Kombo Abedimo to an extent, because Isangele does not face that type of problem because it is in the creeks, you know. If this is done, not only are we going to have more people in the area, the welfare of the people will automatically change. Because when the floods come, they destroy houses, and even schools. Destroy schools. And money that would have been used for other social amenities are used in reconstructing, eternal reconstructing, and makes life difficult for the people. If that were done, I think it will be good. Secondly, the government is carrying out a policy of developing the Bakassi area through Bade. I think the bottom-top approach, insofar as carrying out activities in this area, should be used. How can you imagine that you want to go and carry out a project in the area? The population is not involved. The mayor, even the mayor who happens to be somebody put in place by the government for development, does not know. You come and you carry an investment project in the area, and when they ask you say you are answerable to Yaoundé and things like that. And we continue to live in the same situation. Water, which almost every subdivision in that area is lacking. Because the people who would have had water are the people of Isangele, by dint of the fact that they are shifted towards the land. But even there, they are having water problem. Now the bee has constructed a water producing machine just in our area there, which they use. And when we go to visit in Mondeba, we drink that water. All ministers who pass there drink the water. It is very good water. So why is it that this technology used by the bee cannot be used to give water in these other areas? I don't want to say about the technology used by the Nigerians. Because the Nigerians desalinate the salt water and make it fit for drinking. Now we may say that that is very expensive. Maybe. But these are Cameroonian military making drinkable water available. What is the problem that that technology of the bee cannot be used in these other areas to make drinking water available? That is the question.
What you're talking about seems to be a problem of the decentralization process that is not yet functioning in its full capacity as of now. Why not go back to the federal system that existed before, which creates an enabling environment for mayors to be able to handle these issues of water supply and so on?
We are talking about decentralization. That is the option that the government has taken, and not federalism. But as I said, the nomenclature does not so much matter. It is the content. And
particularly the transfer of competence and resources.
If that were to be done, you know, to its full extent, I don't think we will be complaining. The decentralization process is gaining momentum. I think we just need also to do the work we are expected to do in our various levels.
Probably we'll come back to the topic of decentralization, the fallout of the major national dialogue, the spatial status and all that. We have exhausted our time in today's edition of the program. Honorable, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the insight and wisdom you shared with us in this edition of the program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Babila. I appreciate you for leaving your comfort zone to come to Southwest to get an insight of what happened of late. The pleasure is mine.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today's edition of The Insight. If you missed the program, you can follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, on YouTube, and you can also follow the rebroadcast of the program on Friday at 5 p.m. Thank you for your kind attention. Goodbye.